Hey everybody, it's Mary and Yardarus. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm changing the angle of this camera a little bit. I am coming to you tonight on a Monday night. And it's been a while, y'all, since I've been on. I have missed y'all. Hope you've missed me. I'm going to be doing a shading on a medium flesh tone. This is a customer had requested this flesh tone. And so I actually got it base coated the other day and I thought, well, let me go live and just show you guys. Hey Lindsay, hey Robin, hi Debbie. I know, y'all, I have missed y'all terribly. It has been, I've just had a lot going on and I have not really felt good the last week or so, but I think I'm on the mend. My stomach has really been bothering me. And you know, it's just that busy season too for us, so it's been kind of crazy. But I think things are kind of settling down a little bit, I think. And so I had a customer request this, and I thought, well, you know, let me thank you, Debbie, for that. If y'all could show us some love, that is probably the most powerful thing y'all could do. And just tuning in and hanging out with me. I have missed being here, y'all. I haven't felt good lately, but I think I'm on the mend, so I'm going to go ahead and say things are getting a lot better. So what I did we've done this Mary since I actually brought this pattern out in, gosh, I think March or April. Because those of you that have been with us all year, I tried to drop one pattern a month that would give you a full tutorial for, I think it's 11 or 13 pieces of a painted nativity. And so I did Mary back sometime in the spring, I'm not sure exactly when, and I did a light flesh tone, and we've had a couple customers and had requested a darker flesh tone. So what I did to get this is what I came up with, y'all. For those of y'all, like if you ever need to paint and you're using our paint colors, here's what I did. I used 50% this and 50% this. If you do half nutmeg and half reindeer brown, you get a very kind of a warm, chocolatey kind of color. So anytime you're doing flesh tones, whether you're doing a light, a medium, or a dark, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. You always want to make sure you go on the warm side of that color. Think of it as human beings, you know, we're living creatures, animals, kind of the same thing. You know, we are live, so you don't want to go gray or dark because then it makes people look dead, no matter what color. Oh, Debbie said 13 pieces. I couldn't remember how many pieces it was, Debbie. And so, now, what I have to do at this point is I've got to decide, this has been sitting around, so I went ahead and Windexed it, y'all, because that's what you do if it's been sitting around for a while to get all the dust off. Now I have to kind of decide, what am I going to do for my shading? So when I think about shading, I would call this a chocolate brown. So when I think about shading that, here's what I think about. I think about three colors. I think about the shading, our regular shading brown, which I think is going to be okay. This might be a little too red. I also think about nutmeg as possible shading. And then I think about shading red. That's our number 23. And when I'm looking at these, I really think we're going to go with something like this. I'm going to just try the shading brown by itself. I got to put a little bit of water with it. 13 pieces and you're on your last two, the angels. Yay! Kim, that's awesome. I've seen what you've been posting, and you know, I can't remember. I know who all, might have been Zelma and some other people. Shoot, I can't remember who posted. A couple of people posted their whole set, and it just looks so great. And I've seen Kim, she's been posting, you know, different pieces at different times that she's been doing. And you guys are just like, I don't know, y'all are just knocking it out of the park. Hey Ava, how are you? And Maria and Bonnie, I'm so glad y'all are here. I'm gonna kind of just show you what my version of a medium flesh tone might look like. In this case, I'm painting a Praying Mary, Kneeling Mary. So I'm just gonna start with just the shading brown. For those of you that follow us a lot, you know this is our standard color. And basically what I would call this a red brown. That's basically what I would call it. And You always want to, when you're talking about flesh, to me, you always want to stay on the warm side, making sure. So when I look at that, to me, that's just a little bit red. So I'm going to put, not much, just y'all can kind of see in there. I don't know if the lighting is very good. I'll put a little nutmeg in there, kind of darken it just a bit, not a whole lot. Just trying to tone it down a little bit. We'll start again. It's not going to be a big difference, but yes, I like that better. And so I'll just kind of come in here and go over what I've already done. So I'm going to do this. And then, of course, when I'm doing faces, y'all, or pretty much anything, I always start around that perimeter. Something like that. And then I will kind of come in here. And she has some cheeks, and she's kind of dainty. It's not really big, so I'm just going to do a few brush strokes here, calling it her cheeks, okay? Something like that. This is her chest. And again, I'm just dipping that brush at an angle. Now, for those of you that are in the academy, tomorrow I'm coming on. It'll probably be during the day. Oh, yes, do that. I want to see it. That would be awesome. But tomorrow I'm going to be in the academy. I have a lady who I made, I think it was a 10-piece train set for back in, I don't know, 6 or 8 years ago. And when her family changes, like grandbabies are born, kids get married, things like that, she brings a car back to me and I rework it. So I'm going to go in the academy tomorrow, showing you guys how you can rework a piece of yard art if you really want to, or you know, if that kind of thing comes up. One thing about, Kim says had different little cups. Yes, because after you start mixing, you're like, okay, what did I put in that cup? What did I put in that cup? So I'm with you on that one, Kim. But I was saying I'm going to be in the academy tomorrow, showing you kind of how to rework a piece of, this case I'm adding a kid and a husband to one car and some names, because what she does is I made her cars for each of her kids, and then as the kids get married, she brings the cars back and we add the husband or the wife or whatever the case may be, and we add names on the car. So I'm going to do that tomorrow in the academy, showing y'all how to rework something. But I'll come on in the morning and tell y'all about what time I think I'll be doing that. All right, I'm going to give her a few little brows up here, and I'm just going to do a few brush strokes, nothing much. Now, I'm pretty happy with that, I think. And I think this is my shading red. If I just use that shading red, I think it's almost black. It's going to be too much. So here's what I'm going to do. I have that shading color, right? Here's number 23 shading red. Okay, that's part of our palette. It's just basically red and black mixed together. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go about half and half. Put that in there. I got to put a little bit more water in here, y'all. And I want to mix this up. And we're going to use this, I'm going to use this as the way to outline, okay? Now, probably really not up until now have I done a lot of mixing of colors for y'all, because the first, you know, when you're first trying to teach people and teach classes, you want to try to keep it, I don't know, as simple as you can, especially in the beginning, so people, because it's a lot, you know, to have to learn, and people get overwhelmed. I mean, I don't get overwhelmed about painting, but y'all know when I get on the phone with tech support, oh Lord, Lord, and they start using these big old words, and I'm all like, can you tell me what that word means, please? It's like, you know, they probably think I'm crazy. So I try to keep it really simple in the beginning, and I haven't done a whole lot of mixing of paint. But to me, when you start talking about a different flesh tone, you could do, I've done a medium flesh tone with just the reindeer brown, but I really think that's too light. And so that's why I kind of started mixing to get this as my chocolate brown. And so, excuse me, that's why you kind of have to play with it. So what this is about 50% of shading brown and 50% of shading red. That's what my outline color is, okay? So you kind of come in here, and I've watered it down quite a bit because I want to make sure it gets down into the CNC line. And then I just come back in here again. And just go over it. Now, I'm going to have to water it down just a bit more. Okay. All right. Hey, Karen. Hey, Ava. Ava says, I still have trouble with prices. Tell me what you mean by that, Ava. I think what I hear you saying is that you're indecisive. And I understand that, but you're going to have to kind of get to a point where you make a decision and go with that. But tell me what you mean by I still have trouble. Okay, I put a little bit more water in there. Now I'm going to stir it up. All right, let's try it again. So far, I'm going to turn the angle of this. Y'all don't necessarily need to see what I'm doing. Okay, y'all can kind of see what's, pull this up. Of course, my dogs have to act ridiculous the minute I get on live. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of come in here and I'm just covering that CNC line. Doing something like that, okay? Going in there, and the reason I water that down is sometimes trying to get that paint to go in that CNC line is a little bit difficult, depending on. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to do the nose right here. Okay, and I don't do a whole lot. I just kind of do a little bit. When you're doing faces, to me here, do that CNC line. Something like that, okay? And then I'm going to come down here. Because to me, when we're talking about doing the nativity, a lot of times I was always, the hardest part for me was doing the faces. How do you decide when you know, how do you decide when you've got enough paint on there? Putting prices on items. Tell me, what is it that you're struggling with? That's a generic, so what do you mean by that? Because I know I've answered a couple of questions for you about that, Ava. So tell me, what do you mean by I'm having trouble putting prices on them? I know you're trying to tell me you're having trouble deciding what to sell it for. What's holding you back? All right, she's got some pretty dainty fingers in here, so I'm kind of I'm trying not to make my outline too large, but of course large enough to be seen and to be noticeable. And now the other thing, when you talk about changing a flesh tone or whatever, various flesh tones on something, you kind of have to think about also what would the hair be like and how are you going to or are you going to address that? So what I do a lot of times on the darker flesh tones, I make the hair black, and I'll show y'all what I do with that in just a minute. I have a pretty simple, I guess, philosophy or method behind that when we're talking about the hair. And I'll show y'all that in just a second. All right, so I'll put a few brush strokes in here. Something like that. I'm going to do her eyelashes in black in just a minute. You could do that. And I'm going to show you, first of all, let's get some black paint. Okay, let me do it this way so I can kind of see it a little bit better. That might be a little bit better. Okay. I'm going to water this down because it's just not got enough water in it. And hey Carla, how are you? I hope you're doing okay. Yeah, shading is something that just takes a lot of practice. I think that's probably what most people would say. Out of everything, the shading is like the hardest for them. And so I think that's pretty normal. A lot of people would say that. But it's also the one thing that if you hang in there and keep practicing, it's the one thing that's going to set your work apart from a lot of other people. All right, so I've got, obviously, I've base coated that. Now, let's talk a minute about what I'm going to do for her eyes. What I do is I always have the piece upside down just because for me it's easier. And I just draw the line, that CNC line. And then I come this side, y'all. I don't know if y'all can see. I'm going to move this so y'all can see a little bit better. Hold on. Just a second, y'all. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to turn it down just like that. Okay? I'm going to do this like so. I come down below the eyelash, okay? And I just give her lashes. My lashes are not always, what is the word I'm looking for? This thing has too much water in it, okay? My lashes are not always really even, and I don't worry about that. She just basically has an eye that's closed. And so I'll come in here and I'll do that same thing. Right in here. And then again, I come below. Just, you don't necessarily have to do it at this angle. I just find this angle to be the best angle for me. That's the best angle for me. And I just do it like this. I just kind of pick that brush up and drag that paint down a little bit. This one's got a little bit too much water in it over here. I didn't realize my brush had that much water. So you can see that's a little bit fatter than that one. But that's okay. I'm not really worried about that. Hey Marcia, how are you? I have missed you guys. I really have. I haven't been on in a while. Okay, so let's do her hair. I'm gonna go ahead, and you can see I haven't done anything else on here, but I think if doing the hair, you know, and the face is probably the hardest. So that's why I'm doing that on this live. I'm going to go ahead and take that black paint and cover up that CNC line, okay? Just taking it and covering that CNC line. You kind of have to make that bristles of that brush just kind of go into that line as much as you can. There we go. Now, this next part would be better if this were drier, but it's not. And for purposes of a video, we have to just go with what we can do. So I'm going to pick up the white paint. Do you cut your own designs? Yes, we do. We have a CNC, but for many years we cut with a jigsaw. In fact, I did a challenge. In fact, it was, I think, last Monday night I was on cutting with a jigsaw in that challenge. So, definitely, most people are not going to have a CNC, but if you want to cut your own blanks, you can absolutely do that and save money by doing it. All right, so I've got my white paint. I'm going to stir it. It's just, I might have a little too much water in here, but I do want it thinned down, okay? So that's important. Make sure it's thinned down. Mine's actually probably a little too thin. But any of you that watch me paint, or if you've been in the academy or watched any of my videos, I always put water. Ashley and I both do, because we use a latex exterior house paint and it gets pretty gummy. And I've got my script liner, right? This is probably just a number 4 script liner. I'm going to dip that in there. And the idea on this, you don't want to put too many strokes on the black, on that hair. Because if you start stroking a lot of white paint on that hair, it's going to look really goofy. It's going to look like, I don't know, somebody's wearing a wig, a bad wig or something. So I would just do something like this, very minimal strokes. And then come in here and stop. That's it. It's really easy to overdo this. You start putting a lot of stroking on that hair, because a lot of times, y'all know me, I put a lot of brush strokes on everything I do. However, when I do anything black, in this case I'm doing hair, or when I do the wheels of a wagon, if you've ever seen me do that, or anything like that, the solid black, less is best. Just a few. You don't need anything more than that, because it's going to start looking overdone if you do. Now, while I have this, I'm going to go ahead and I will put some white highlights in here. Okay? I'm just kind of coming here. I just kind of put white highlights here, there, and yonder. I don't really know if there's any right or wrong to it, y'all. I just kind of put them in there. And then I don't want to forget her hands, so let me move this over here. Okay, don't want to forget her hands. Probably do something in there, like that. Okay, I think I've got that part down. I think I'm okay with her face as far as, I feel like she's, what is the word, complete. She's not overdone, but she's got enough detail on her that she's going to be good enough for that praying, kneeling, close your eye kind of thing. So that's really, to me, the essence of doing. What I did tonight was a medium flesh tone, but it's the same concept. If you're doing a lighter flesh tone, of course you would use lighter paint. If you're doing a darker flesh tone, you would use darker paint. It's pretty much that simple. I do this same technique whether I'm using light, medium, or dark flesh tone. It doesn't matter. I only do 3. Really I only do 2. Sometimes I'll do a really dark one. But it's the same technique on all flesh tones regardless. Just different colors of paint. That's it. Now while I'm up here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I have some dark or shading blue. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Now I want you to look at these brush strokes, because I think a lot of times people think they can't shade, and I think the reason that they think they can't shade is I think they think their shading brush strokes are imperfect. Well, guess what? Mine are imperfect too, okay? Mine are definitely imperfect. I think probably the difference is I'm very comfortable with that. So I guess what I'm saying is don't be so hard on yourself, because mine are definitely not perfect, but then again, that's never been my bag. So I'm gonna go ahead and come up here and do something like this. But definitely, I think shading can give people the most grief. And I get that. I really do. Now, I'm not going to shade right around her face and her hair, because I feel like if I do that, it really takes away from her face and hair. And I want to leave that. Okay? Because the focal point of any character, in my opinion, any human character, is the face. So I'm going to leave that, but notice I did some shading here. Now, a really easy, simple idea, I guess, and you don't have to do this, but this is, I'm gonna just throw this out there because sometimes I like to do it this way. I'm gonna take that much blue, okay? And I'm gonna take that same amount, maybe a little bit more of black. And watch what I do. I create almost like a midnight black. I just got that right there. I'm gonna wash out my script liner. I'm gonna load that script liner, kind of bring it back off. I'm gonna go around the edge here. And then I'll just bring some brush strokes in, okay? So what I'm doing is, and you know, I'm just kind of, each color I'm showing y'all tonight, I'm gonna go, I go ahead and I outline it in that same color, just to show you that it doesn't take a whole lot really, y'all, to make something look good. Bring that up, and then I just go around my shading. Wherever I shaded, I'm going to also outline like that, like that. Okay, I'm going to wash that script liner out. Where's my white? I'm going to go ahead and highlight this blue veil, or headdress, I guess is what you call it. And see, by the time you get all your brush strokes, which I totally forgot to put some brush strokes in here. Hold on, y'all. No big deal. I still have a wet brush. I should have put some strokes in there. Okay. I'm going to do this. I'll come that. Let me wash this. And see, all I'm doing is I am just taking that brush and I put some dark paint with the blue. Just put some black with that. Did my outlining. And that to me makes a real dramatic look, which is the look that I like. Okay. So, and just I don't know how long I've been on this live, but it hasn't really been that long. And it's just been something that I've just taken something that was base coated in maybe 20 minutes. I've really kind of got it really pretty and something somebody thinks is attractive enough to pay me for, y'all. That's the thing too. Now you may be doing this not for money, but just for your enjoyment, which we love to hear that as well too. Okay. So I'm going to show you this, and I hope y'all can see, because I think a lot of times there's a tendency to think everything we do is perfect. Debbie said 25 minutes. Okay, Debbie, 25 minutes, she's right. And look at how imperfect I did on this base coating job. Can y'all see that? It's not really even. I was kind of in a hurry. No worries, okay? That doesn't bother me, okay? What I'm going to do, I don't even remember what this color is. Hey y'all, I think this is the color I used to shade. No, I used to outline there. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to dip that brush on the corner like that, right? I'm gonna bring that in. The first thing I would do if you're uncertain about where to shade is follow your CNC lines and then also follow your outside lines, that outside cut. So I'm going to come up in here, I'm going to bring that, I'm going to come in here, do that. And all I'm doing right now is just shading. That's all I'm doing. You can't hear it, but I can. If you could hear this brush, you can just hear that brush going along and hitting that board, okay? I'm gonna come over here. I'm going to do something like this. Now all these spots that I know I did not get enough coverage on, I'm going to deliberately cover that up, number one, by shading with this shading color. Number two, by the outline color when I start outlining. And number three, by highlighting. So you don't have to worry too much if it's perfect because you have another opportunity to come along and cover it with some paint. Okay, I see something that's not perfect in here. So I'm just gonna make, there we go. All right, so then I've got that. This is our regular shading red. I'm gonna put some water in there because it is just too gummy, y'all. Too gummy, okay? And I'm stir, 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 stir. All right. Is Ashley on here? I'm not seeing comments. Wanda's here. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Wanda. I didn't see y'all. I'm glad y'all are here. So I'm going to stir, stir. I'm going to pick up my script liner. Let's see. What the heck did you do with your script liner? Oh, well, that's okay. I'll just find another. It's not a big deal. So I'm just taking that, right? I'm just hitting that. See how much paint I have on there? Oh, that's a little too much, y'all. I'm just going to kind of go in here, and I'm hitting that CNC line. That's what I'm doing. Then I'm also going to hit all the lines of my shading. And my strokes, I want y'all to look at my brush strokes. They are not perfect. They're not, by no means perfect. Absolutely not. So don't be hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. But you can see, you can imagine too, in just a minute I'm going to pick up some white and I'm going to put a lot of highlighting on this. And you can see that this garment is starting to look really good, y'all. And that's all it's about when you're doing your nativity pieces. To me, a lot of it is just the garment, because it's just a little bit of face showing, and usually hands, maybe feet. And that's all there is to nativities. There we go. And notice I just take this outline color with this brush, y'all. Oh Lord, I hear myself talking sometimes, y'all. What the heck? Why do I sound like a hick? Jeez. I better not go back and watch this video. I'll be like cringing. I sound like a backwards redneck, but that's okay. I just keep bringing my brush strokes in. Always hit your CNC lines, right? You might even hit a little bit here. Kind of come here. Wherever I have shaded, I'm definitely going to bring this outline color wherever I've shaded, y'all. Oh Lord, I got some water in here. Let me pick this up. Somehow, I don't know how I did it. Maybe I got water when I hit that, when I was doing putting the water in that cup a while ago. So I got water in there. So I had to get the paper towel after that, y'all. Had to get the paper towel after that. Okay, so let's keep going. And I'm going to just kind of keep going. I'm going to do this here. And she is going to be really pretty. I think the customer, what's so funny is the customer bought this and paid for it. And I told him, I said, well, I don't know, you know, maybe you will, maybe you won't like my flesh tone that I come up with. He said, oh, I like it, I'll like it. I'm like, okay, I hope you will. Always kind of nervous when somebody buys something that they haven't seen, you know. All right, so I've gotten covering that CNC line. I'm gonna come over here, y'all. But this is the kind of thing that we really go over a lot in the Academy. We opened up the Academy today, y'all, and the Academy is really a place that we try to be very deliberate, kind of like what I'm doing tonight. I don't always do this on my lives, but I try to be very deliberate on teaching, because that's why a lot of people, I think, would tune in. Maybe they're interested in yard art, and they don't know quite how to start. So the Academy is a place that we have lots of how-to tutorials at yardartacademy.com, and we give out free templates every month. And let's see what else. It's $27 a month. You can cancel at any time. There's no contracts, none of that kind of stuff. And it's really a place where you can go and ask a lot of questions too. We give out our paint roster. After you've been in 6 months, we give out our paint roster where you can go get our paint mixed if you want to do that. Okay, I'm going to pick this up. I'm going back to the white, right? I'm cleaning that brush, putting this in here. I'm going to kind of come back here like so. And I like, you don't necessarily have to do this, but Ashley and I both do this. I put a lot of white on the things that I do. It's just what I like. I like to give it that contrast, and my white is going wherever my shading and my outlining didn't go, okay? That's why I'm not so much worried if my base coat is perfect, because I know so much of that base coat is going to get covered up by the time I'm done with it. Because to me, when you're talking about yard art, you really have to think about how is this going to look from a distance out in the yard. Even though my style right here, y'all, I've got a lot of bold white strokes. This is going to be seen from the yard, sometimes 10, 20, 30 feet away. And you really, if you don't go bold, they don't really get to see the whole thing from the yard. So maybe sometimes I overdo it with how bold I am, but to me, you just want to make sure you're seeing this from afar. Lisa says, I'm joining the Academy tomorrow. Oh, Lisa, that's exciting. Yay. We have a good group. I believe we have a great group. And I think the Academy, it's kind of my baby in the fact that am a teacher at heart. I taught school for a long time, and of course I've painted for a long time. So to me, it is fun sharing my knowledge with people who have a common interest and with people who want to learn. Now, I've got this, my outer cape here is the light purple. That's what I did. And all I'm going to do is pick up this shading purple. I've got a little bit of water in there. Let me stir it a little bit more, like that. Y'all, I'm gonna go watch this video later. I promise you, if I sound like a hick, I'm gonna start taking, I don't know, voice lessons or something. Jeez Louise. Okay, picking out my flat tip brush. I like her, y'all. I'm liking this more and more as I'm getting her done. I'm picking up this flat tip brush. I'm gonna pull it this way so y'all can kind of see. And what I would do is I would start out here on the side, kind of on the perimeter. And I tend to really bear down on my brush the further I get from the place I started, if that makes any sense. Okay, I'm gonna come down here. Now see how it's kind of lighter here? I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna go back and start in the middle, come back down, and then I'll go back up. So I'm not really worried about that too much. And I'm gonna just kind of keep it like that. I did a little bit of a shade here up against that, but I'm not gonna go all the way down because I don't have a lot of space. And you start shading both sides of that, and it's just gonna turn really dark on you. And I want some of that light purple to show through, y'all. I'm gonna come over here. I'll start here. And notice when I'm shading, I don't lay this brush down. My brush pretty much is perpendicular to my board, okay? In other words, the tip of my brush is gonna be pointed to the ceiling. Now, when I come over here, it's very dark, it's very light. That's normal, okay? I'm gonna pick up some more paint, and I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna go back this way. Just trying to lay some more paint in there. That's all I'm doing. Even it up a little bit. Okay, now because I have more space over here, I feel like I can get away with outlining both sides. Okay? It's natural that the longer stroke you make, the less paint you're gonna have, just because you're going across a distance. I don't worry about that because I know I can come back and fill that in. Here we go. Here we go, something like this, y'all. Come back over here. Gonna come back down here. Something like that. Now, when I get up here, I'll come up here again and I'll bring those brush strokes in a little bit. Just because I think that's how a garment, the folds of a garment would do it. Where you want that garment to look natural. So I'll just kind of bring that brush stroke in some. I'll go in here and do like this. Something like that. You get the idea. Now, what I'm gonna do here, I'm trying to decide, y'all. I think I'm gonna do this again. Okay, see I've got a little bit of purple. I'm gonna take a little bit of black. Don't feel like you have to do this. You can always outline in black. I'm just kind of showing something a little bit different than what I normally do for a lot of the tutorials, simply because I'm showing you another way to do it that's, I think, pretty easy, okay? Hey, Deborah, how are you? Hey, sis. That's my sis watching. All right, so I've got this. This was shading purple, and I put black with it. That's all I did. But it just dawned on me, y'all, I got to do this. I have to put some more water in here. Y'all can see I'm always putting a lot of water in here. Okay, let's do this. Almost done, not too far off. There we go. And I'm gonna just come up here. I'm gonna stay really next to that shading that I did on that red. I'm staying really next to it. And then of course I'm gonna come out here. And I just keep adding paint to this script line. I'm going to do a brush stroke there, one like that, come in here, and just kind of put some strokes in there. That's all I'm doing. Is it just me or is this video? It probably is. Man, I hate that. I don't know why it does that. That makes me so mad because I spend a lot of money on Wi-Fi. Haters. Y'all, haters are people who are anything that's not doing what I think it's supposed to be doing. Yes. Okay, here we go. And let's go over here. I'm gonna put some black, dark purple black, I guess you could call it. And I just bring it in here and I follow that line. Just follow the line that you went with your shading. Okay. I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I've been thinking about next year, y'all. I'm thinking about doing trains and train cars all year, off and on, making different cars if you want to make a train. I can sell, next year we'll be selling the paper pattern. So for those of you that live out of town or you just want to save money and cut your own blanks, you could always buy the paper pattern if you wanted to, or the template. Of course, we'll sell the template. But I think some people would rather have the paper pattern just because that way they... Sorry about that. You like the idea? I think the Santa train, we would do a Santa in the driving the engine, and then we would do a reindeer car, an elf car, and maybe a Christmas tree with presents car. I can't decide, but if we offer that, y'all let me know if y'all like that idea. We would do, say maybe the Santa engine in April or May, for those of you that wanted to, you know, work on it. And we would do the train cars in the summer sometime, and that way you'd have plenty of time. And between, I think, doing the template and the paper pattern, you guys could really do what you wanted to as far as the size. You know, if you wanted to make a big one, you could buy the template and make it big, or we could do you could buy the paper pattern. Again, I'm just putting some white in here because y'all know how I am about that. Come over here. All I have left now is a little bit of green on the grass. And that's it, y'all. She's done. I've enjoyed hanging out with y'all. I feel like I've missed y'all. I've missed y'all. Yeah, could be the weather and cloud, because we have had a lot of bad weather here today. That could be it. Sherry says, cute, great idea. Pamela's hanging out with us. I'm glad you're here. So I like the idea. If y'all like the idea of a train, we may be doing a train. Or I even thought, y'all tell me if you like the idea of Santa and the sleigh with the reindeer. You could, you know, just do a reindeer a month for several months and you'd have a pretty good setup. I'm going to put quite a bit of green on here just because I like this, y'all. And then we are done. Let's go to the solid black on this. Yeah, I think that's solid black. And I'm going to outline this and that's it, y'all. That's it. See how easy it is if you just go step by step by step. Yeah, Debbie said the Halloween train was great. I agree. I think it was. Debbie says, I missed watching you. Hey, Debbie, how are you? Is it Vansel? Yeah. And you like the idea of Santa in the sleigh? I like the idea of the reindeer pulling, like for those of you wanted like 4 or 5 reindeer, you could buy them throughout the year. Yes, Santa in the sleigh and reindeers, please. Okay, Kim says that she likes that idea too. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I have to kind of come up with something that I'm really excited about. We have a Santa in the sleigh, but I think we can do something a little different than him. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna water this down. Now I'm gonna pick up my strip liner. And here we go, y'all. I'm gonna load that up and I'm just gonna outline this whole grassy, this is called a platform where she's kneeling. It's like a platform, holds the whole piece. You can come in here, like that. Gonna come over here, like that. And here we go. I will put a few black strokes in here. And a few white, and we are done. Tell me what else y'all would like to see for next year. Santa in the sleigh we're talking about. A Santa train. Obviously, there's a lot more going on than just Christmas. So anything else that y'all think you might like, y'all let us know. I think I've got some cute kidsy type scarecrows for fall. I think we had some good fall blanks this year. Ashley had some really good ones. I didn't really care for some of mine, but she had some really good ones. So if you guys want to join the Academy, it's open tonight all the way through, I think, Friday or Saturday. And it's a focus on a lot like what I did tonight. A lot of teaching, a lot of showing you how to do the whole piece kind of from beginning to end. Hold on a second, y'all. I'm fixing to hold this thing up because I want y'all to see it. And remember, the technique that I have for that I showed you on this, it's the same technique no matter what color you're using as far as your flesh tones, right? Just stay sliding. Let me hold it here. There we go. Now you can kind of see her. She's going to set her there. And she is our kneeling Mary. I don't think we have any more blanks left, y'all, this year. So we may have her back next year. I don't know, but we don't have any more blanks this year on her. We're sold out of that. With 3M edge sealer, do I seal the very bottom? As in this part down here? Yes, I would. On that 3M, Ava, it goes on every edge. The side edge here, the top edge here, the side edge over here, and of course that bottom edge, right? So I would do all edges to answer that question. Debbie said it looks great. Thank you, Debbie. You're always so good to me. Yep, all edges. Look at that. It's beautiful, Lisa said. And y'all can see it's just a matter of, y'all know, base coating and then shading and outlining. That's all. It's that script liner, y'all, and it's staying after the shading until you get the shading right. But my strokes are not perfect. It's a gown. It's not supposed to be perfect, okay? And you can see how much white I have on mine. You don't necessarily have to do that, but think about how is this gonna look. Here in Texas, what people do is they go around at night and they go look at things that are lit up. How is this gonna look lit up at night with glitter on it? That's what you wanna think about. So that's why I'm really bold in my strokes, because I know this is gonna be seen from 10, 15, 20, 30 feet away. Thank y'all for joining me and hanging out. Tomorrow I will be in the Academy showing you how to rework a piece of yard art. It's a training that I've done for a customer for a long time. She brings the card back to me when somebody changes marital status, has a child. So I'm going to be in the Academy, probably tomorrow afternoon on that. And I'm going to try to come back on tomorrow on Painters Club, not Painters Club, Painters in the Making, and do the baby that goes with this. So thank y'all for hanging out. Thank y'all for always being there for us. And I hope y'all have